deaths in the country. We know that this particular case of Ram Singh, the main accused in the Delhi gang rape case, and him committing suicide has come into the limelight and has opened a different sort of debate on the situation in prisons, the situation of prisons in our country, the condition of Indian prisons, specifically Tihar, and the security and other concerns. But what exactly does it mean about the prisoners and the under trials in our country? The number itself is a whopping, there's of course a very appalling figure there, but what exactly does it mean for them as well as the entire judicial system? We'll talk about that in this edition of Insight. Right, and joining me in the program today is Mr. K.S. Subramanian. He is a senior retired IPS officer. He was also a former official with the Home Ministry. He's a human rights activist, and right now he's associated with Suchitra Kalyan Mohanty. He's a reporter with Reuters News. Has been covering such instances for a very long time. Thanks to advocate with Delhi High Court, Mr. Pankaj. But before before getting into the details of how exactly these custodial deaths, this particular phenomenon has panned out in our country, let's start with the basics of this particular case. Mr. Subramanian, would like to have an insight from you as to how do you look at a suicide committed by a person like Ram Singh, who was first, of course, he was seen as the main accused in the Delhi gang rape case, which invited such responses, reactions, protests from all across the country.
Absolutely. See, the Ram Singh case has raised more questions than answers which have come out. Today I read in the press, the important thing is, why did this man feel compelled to commit suicide at this stage in his imprisonment? I feel there may be a bigger story behind it, because I have heard that there may be a criminal angle to it, because there are some people in the whole case in which this lady school student was killed and so on. Ram Singh would have had idea of how the whole operation took place, because there are a large number of buses of this type which are running on Delhi streets. I am told that this is known to the police, it's also known to the traffic police, and it's a kind of gang thing going on between the policemen, the traffic policemen, and also criminal gangs like Ram Singh's. They are all running together, and I am told there is a lot of money involved. There is a big corruption is involved in getting licenses for these buses. I am told, I was in Delhi police many years ago. I heard from a friend of mine that for every truck that is registered in Delhi police with the traffic department, rupees 200 had to be paid. This was more than 20 years ago.
Right.
Now the money has gone up.
Right.
And the officer to whom I spoke on that occasion, he said, "Sir, look, I am granting licenses to 20 trucks, to 200 trucks every day, and every truck has to pay me 200 rupees. Because I asked him this question because he invited me home in the evening. I saw that he is living in a marble palace. I said, "My dear friend, how did you get hold of this marble palace?" He says, "It's very simple, because in my job I make 40,000 rupees a day, which goes to some others also, but I also get a share." And that is how this has happened.
Which, so you're saying that he was in fact a part, he could have been a great link to any sort of nexus.
Racket operating in Delhi streets, particularly at night when these things happen, because the bus was being driven slowly, the glass windows were closed, and the rape was going on in the bus. And I think the policemen who were on the streets, they would have known which bus is it. And then the whole investigation took place in a very fast way. They could easily find out a Yadav transport operator. I believe that these are all on the hafta of the Delhi police. They receive money every week. So there is a conspiracy behind the Ram Singh suicide, and this has to be exposed only by a proper inquiry. Not by medical doctors, but by criminal investigation agencies like
the Delhi government has ordered a judicial inquiry now.
Yeah, judicial inquiry is a very necessary thing, but I think it's important to establish accountability within the prison administration and management, because the DG in charge of the Tihar jail has to explain how this suicide was allowed to happen. So I think it's a very serious matter. Of course, prison reforms, when you take up prison reforms, I'll come to talk about it. But it appears that this is more serious than it appears on surface.
Okay, Mr. Mohanty, you've been covering this incident since the day it happened, December 16. How do you really look at this juncture? How do you look at this development? Do you see some sort of foul play in Ram Singh's alleged suicide?
Well, Shalini, in my opinion, what I think is that Ram Singh was forced to commit suicide, because if you will see the entire matter in a proper perspective, his right hand was not in a proper shape to commit suicide, number one. Number two, he was forced to commit suicide under several circumstances. Number one, why he has committed suicide? Due to the pathetic condition and safety and security of the Tihar jail officials, and Tihar jail officials have not taken proper measures for that. You know, the safety and security measures